Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is your boy, Johnathan Dr. Clark. And as always, I want to give a big, major shout out to my family members, my supporters, my followers. You know, those that like my postings, those that like my videos, those that share my videos. Without you all, there would be no me. And I'm thankful and I'm very appreciative of you guys. Um, Moving forward, I got a very delicate topic as usual. Think about this for a second. And I want you to close your eyes for about 5 or 6 seconds. You know, is it possible to rebuild trust after he or she has cheated on you? Is it possible? Something to think about. So I want you to open your eyes. Look at me for a second. It is possible. I know what it says on social media. I know what it says on the movies. I know what it says. I know what it says in the blogs. I know what your auntie and your uncle and your cousin, your drunk neighbor says about if your partner decides to cheat on you. I know they tell you that it's impossible. I know they tell you that it's not worth working on. I know they tell you that why go through that and continue going through it when you can find someone else. I know what everything says. I know what they tell you. I know what it says about. I know what they say about the sleepless nights. I know what they tell you about being super anxious. I know what they tell you about you having a very difficult time getting over it. I know what they tell you about having a difficult time forgiving that person. But let's flip it now. They don't tell you that it's possible to forgive. They don't tell you that it's a step and it's a process and in regards to moderation to be able to forgive them. Social media, the platforms, the movies, the blogs, the drunken neighbors, they don't tell you about those things. They don't tell you that, you and your partner can actually sit down and have cordial conversations. They don't want to tell you about that. They don't want to tell you about the things that are difficult for them. They don't. They don't want to tell you that just because you shed a tear or two after finding out the information, after being able to sit down and discuss those things, and after being able to learn how to forgive, they don't tell you that tear is an effort of being able to move forward. Not to forget. The drunken uncle doesn't tell you about those things. The drunken neighbors, they don't tell you about those things because it was possibly impossible for them. They don't tell you that you can actually go through counseling to overcome certain situations. They don't tell you that you can actually forgive certain individuals who've been very detrimental to your spirit. They don't want to tell you about those things. Why? Because it was almost impossible for them. And they're going to do everything possible to get you to follow their journey. That was a struggle for them. They don't tell you that you all can actually go back to a new normal lifestyle. Not to say a new normal lifestyle to the point where where you're never reminded of what he or she may have done. No, not that type, because that only works in cartoons. They don't tell you that you all can create a new normal lifestyle where you all can actually get along again. They don't want to tell you about that. Because why? Because they decided to quit. They didn't want to put in the effort sometimes. And not to say that just because a person decided not to put in the effort or the work, not to say that there's something incredibly wrong with them. Maybe they just didn't have what it takes to forgive, or maybe they didn't want to. And again, as a disclaimer, sometimes it's okay to necessarily throw in the towel because we've exhausted all options to make it work. I'm only speaking about those that are extremely negative. I'm only speaking about those that decided not to try. I'm only speaking about those that decided to leave just because of what took place. And sometimes we may not want to put in the effort. I'm only speaking about those that frown upon what action is going to look like. Those are the people that I'm speaking about. So if you all decide to leave, and without wanting to put in the work, without wanting to put in the effort to forgive, without wanting to put in the extra effort, I'm talking to you in regards to creating that sensitive or that negative spirit into those that want to try to make things work. So back to what I was saying. The tabloids and the media, they're not going to tell you about effort. They're not going to tell you about that we can get back to a new normal reality. They're not going to tell you that we can actually start back having fun again. They're not going to tell you about that we can start back having sex again. They're not going to tell you about those things because it was almost impossible, and sometimes they didn't want to put in the work on their end. They're not going to tell you about that. But guess what I'm going to tell you? I'm going to tell you that it is possible to rework on things. It is possible to forgive. It is possible to create the new norm. It is possible to bring them back around your friends again. It is possible to bring them back around your family again. It is possible to post about them on your social media platform. It is possible to change your status from single back to in a relationship, to engage, to married. It is possible, you all. I understand that it can be difficult and challenging to overcome certain situations. I understand that. Doesn't mean that it's impossible. Doesn't mean that it's so unbearable that nobody can achieve it. Not at all. It just means that we have to put a tad bit more work. But can we do it by ourselves? No, we cannot. And not to say that we cannot do it by ourselves because we're incompetent. No, because it didn't happen by ourselves. Building trust is not an effort of being able to do it by yourself from a single mentality. Building trust has to be taking place from a double type of mentality. And what do I mean by double mentality? I mean two people. If you're trying to be more positive, if you're trying to be more mindful, if you're trying to be more forgiving, if you're trying to be more uplifting in regards to your better half, the individual that decided to step out and be disrespectful and decided to cheat, you're not going to be able to do it on your own. Your partner now has to give you reason to believe that he or she can be trusted. Your partner has to show levels of respect for you. Your partner has to more so respectfully check in at times. Your partner has to give you reason to believe that wherever they're going to be safe. They're going to be transparent. They're going to be mindful. They're going to be ultimately respectful for you. They're not constantly going out doing those disrespectful, degrading things towards you. Now, will it worry you? Will it bother you as you all are working on trust and building those things once he or she steps out of the house? Yes, it will, because it's going to trigger you. It's going to remind you of certain things. But if you all are both with the double mentality, if you all are working on it, preferably you, if you're trying to believe that he or she is being respectful, sometimes we got to provide that positive reinforcement for ourselves. Sometimes we got to convince ourselves that, you know what? I do care about him. I do care about her. I do want to trust him. I do want to believe him. I do want to believe that, they're going out and they're being respectful. I do want to believe those type of things. And sometimes we have to convince ourselves that. Sometimes we have to tell ourselves that. But as we're sharing those beliefs and those thoughts with ourselves, they need to be doing those same thing at the end of the day. They need to be having those closure-like conversations with us. They need to be having those reassurance conversations with us. They need to be doing things for us. I'm not saying they need to be showering us with gifts, but sometimes their presence is a gift. Sometimes their levels of communication is a gift for us. Sometimes them being there for us is a gift. Sometimes checking in with us is a gift. Sometimes bringing us out with them is a gift. Sometimes allowing us to see that they're checking other people is a gift. Sometimes, them showing us that they're removing negative people around them is a gift. Sometimes them deleting their friends, deleting their enemies from their lifestyle that do not have the best interests in our relationship or the best interest in our marriage. Y'all hear me, and I want you all to hear me good. It is possible to rekindle something like that. It is possible to rebuild trust. Both parties have to be willing to put in the effort. The person that was being cheated upon cannot do it on his or her own. That's not possible. Yes, they can convince themselves and speak positive to themselves all day, but all that stuff goes out the window if the person on the giving end that decide to be disrespectful is not given a reason to believe that it can be trusted. Y'all, it takes work. It takes respect. It takes checking in. It takes being mindful. It takes stop doing certain things. It takes helping. It takes two parties. It takes a decrease in blaming, and it takes more of an increase in actually having a conversation. It takes closure. It takes work. Will it happen overnight? No. Is it a cartoon? No. Will it go away after a couple of days? Not at all. But it will get better to deal with. It will get easier to deal with. But we have to create a new successful norm. Creating a new norm does not mean that everything goes to hell. Doesn't mean that we get to create a new form of disaster. It means that we can try a hell of a lot harder now to create a new successful lifestyle for your marriage, for your relationship. So again, this is your boy, Johnathan Dr. Clark. Feel free to like, share this video. Feel free to, tag a friend in this video that possibly might be struggling. Feel free to share this video or send it to someone's inbox that you know might be going through it. Feel free to forward them to my website. That's www.thedatedoctor.com. That's www.thedatedocta.com. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good one. Make sure you share.